This is Home Care Happy Hour, the only podcast that keeps you up to date on what's happening in the world of home care and gives you the celebrity tea you didn't know you needed.
Well, hey everyone, and welcome to Home Care Happy Hour. We've got a lot to cover today, and it's stuff you're going to genuinely need to know about, especially if you're an agency in Ohio. This podcast is mostly for agencies in Ohio. It's an Ohio emergency podcast. A lot happened on May 13th, and we want to walk you through it and what it actually means for your agency. We're going to cover the federal enrollment moratorium, what Ohio is specifically doing on top of that, and then what you should actually be doing in all of this. But before we get into the Ohio emergency updates, we want to do a quick celebrity update. What do you think, Kate?
Let's do it.
All right. So celebrity update number one, before we get into our Medicaid updates, is, Kate, you have an update on Rihanna's murderer.
Yes. So
Attempted
Rihanna's
murder?
not dead, near as I can tell. But essentially, a woman was accused of attempting to murder Rihanna, ASAP Rocky, and their children. She was shooting at their house. So the judge just ordered a mental health evaluation. I had read this headline. I feel like this headline got crazier as I was reading it. Judge orders mental health evaluation. Okay, already kind of a little what?
Yeah.
For the woman accused of attempting to murder. Okay, what? Rihanna. What? Attempting to murder Rihanna. It just felt like one thing after another. You know what I mean? So yeah, Rihanna, stay safe out there, gal.
Quick little update there. I'm not surprised they ordered that. It seems like if you go shoot up Rihanna's house, you might need a mental evaluation. Kendall Jenner is dating someone new, right, Kate?
Yeah, Jacob Elordi. He's the guy from Wuthering Heights. He's also on Euphoria. I have not seen Euphoria, but he's from that. Yes.
Kendall Jenner is a Kardashian, for those of you listening who might not recognize the last name. She is the older Kardashian, the younger Kardashian sister.
The youngest, right?
She got a new boyfriend, but did you see their Met Gala dresses?
Yes. So I looked this up and it pulls up her Met Gala dress. And I was like, she had an embarrassing moment. And then was like, no, that's just the dress. Listen, listeners.
It was like,
Google it. Google their Met dresses. Our producer Allie, was like, no, she and Kylie both had crazy dresses. When you look up Kylie's dress, the reason I'm not sharing my screen right now is because it's probably indecent. I don't think we can put it on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't think we can put it on the podcast either, but it got a little scandy. So make sure you guys check those out. You'll be like, what is she wearing? It's definitely a fun.
Are they prosthetic?
moment.
I don't know.
And next week, when it's not just an Ohio exclusive podcast, we're going to be going over all of the Met Gala outfits. And we're going to play a game called Is This Met Gala or Is This Comic-Con? And we're going to have to guess.
I like it. Okay, wait. That sounds so fun.
Or is it Comic-Con? So that'll be a fun game next week we're going to play.
I'm here for it. And Bailey, you had one. Oh, yeah, we can jump in.
Moratorium.
Dun, dun, dun.
Moratorium for Ohio. So starting at the federal level on May 13th, CMS announced a 6-month nationwide moratorium on the new Medicare enrollment for home health agencies and hospices. If you were in the process of enrolling a new agency or making certain changes to the majority ownership, that's going to be on hold right now.
Yep, for a while. Those moratoriums are typically issued in 6-month batches. They're extended in 6-month batches. They can be lifted at any point, but you're probably in it for the next 6 months.
Yeah. So if you're already enrolled, you're fine. Don't panic.
You're in the
clear. You can keep serving your current patients. Nothing changes for existing providers.
You just can't sell your agency right now or have a change in majority ownership. So if you own an agency and you were thinking about selling, no. You don't get to do that right now. So hold tight, strap in. If you thought you were out of the game, they pulled you right back in. You're not able to sell it yet.
Yeah. So what's frozen is new enrollment and ownership changes, which CMS has flagged as a common tactic used to hide who's actually running an agency. Yeah. So that's kind of, I guess, their reasoning. Yeah. To give you a sense of the scale of what's already happened, CMS suspended payments to 773 hospices and 23 home health agencies in Los Angeles alone. About $70 million in suspended funds from one metro area. And they're doing a nationwide site visits. They launched a new public hospice scoring system. And they're requiring fingerprinting for all new enrollees. This has been in the building for a while.
Yeah. So Ohio is in a really notable position, in a special spot, because it got hit from two different directions on the same day. You have the federal moratorium shutting stuff down at the Medicare level. And then Governor DeWine announced new state level restrictions and preventative initiatives on top of it. And some of that happened because CMS called Ohio out. CMS was like, hey, in this moratorium, we're naming a few states that are problem children. Ohio was one of them. So bad news for Ohio, right? So Governor DeWine reacted to that, and we're going to start to walk through those things. So the first is an expansion on a statewide provider moratorium. Sounds like the exact same thing as CMS, right? Except Ohio said that they're pausing enrollment for Medicaid providers as well. So CMS can only suspend Medicare provider enrollment. They can't suspend Medicaid provider enrollment because Medicaid is a state and federal program, unlike Medicare. But Ohio went ahead and said, oh, this is what CMS is doing for Medicare. We want to get in line. We're going to suspend Medicaid enrollment too. So the idea is that Ohio Medicaid has a 6-month pause on new provider enrollment for home health agencies. Now, remember, in Ohio, a lot of y'all out there providing home care services are non-medical home health agencies. This is going to apply to you. The idea is that it gives Ohio some breathing room to assess existing providers and take a look at people who are high risk. So it's just keeping an eye on what's going on, being able to actually audit it without an influx of more people. The second item is that there was an immediate payment suspension for high-risk providers. So this sounds really scary, in particular because home health providers are already labeled as high risk, but this isn't all high-risk providers. Ohio said, okay, we've identified 87 providers who are being flagged because we're almost positive they're out here committing fraud. We got to take a look at it. So they halted payment for those 87 providers, and they're taking a look at people with billing anomalies. They've got some new data analytics tools that they're talking about, but haven't released to the public, to flag and say, okay, is something going on? Are you billing and getting denied a ton? Are you billing a ton with no EVV data? Like, what's going on? To flag those things. The third is an executive order for emergency rules. So this kind of emergency rule setup is going to give Ohio Medicaid the ability to require more frequent revalidation of providers identified as high risk. Now, they have not said what more frequent means. More frequent could be more than once every 3 years. It could be more than once every 6 months. We have no idea. When we know, we'll tell you. It is important to note that Governor DeWine had actually already sent a letter to CMS back on May 1st saying, hey, Ohio is really committing to a more stringent revalidation process. So this has kind of been going on. He just hasn't been super, super forthcoming about what that frequency means moving forward. The fourth thing is that GPS will be mandatory in Ohio. So this is something that's been unique to Ohio. In Ohio, in electronic visit verification world, Medicaid recipients have been able to sign a form that says, I don't want GPS in my house. I don't want that. I'm opting out of that. I do not consent to GPS. It's a special form. It's something really only Ohio does. Geo's had that. We worked it into our system for Ohio people, and it's just kind of been a weird Ohio thing. Well, Governor DeWine rolled it back. He said, now you can't say, I don't want GPS. If you receive home health services, non-medical home health services, personal support services, we want GPS at your house. So there's an executive order that was out making all of that happen. Governor DeWine has been already starting to pour some IT investment into Ohio. That started back in December. So it's been in the works. An auditor had identified GPS as a key recommendation for what needed to happen to improve the integrity of the Ohio Medicaid home and community-based services system. So it's been in the works. It has some history behind it. And the last item is that EVV is going to be mandatory for live-in caregivers. This is new. Not a lot of states require this, especially because live-in caregivers are almost always family members, and they're typically exempt from EVV requirements entirely, right? Which makes sense. They live there, right? But Ohio is starting the rulemaking process to change that. Again, executive orders do require a little bit more legislative legwork behind them to really put some teeth to those new rules and regulations. So that's coming down the pipeline. And it looks like EVV will be a requirement for payment for live-in caregivers. So still in early stages. We'll see if it's just a paper tiger or if it ends up being really real for y'all's agencies that are serving people with live-in caregivers. But the direction where that's headed is definitely clear.
All right, you guys. So what does all of this mean for you? What are your takeaways? So basically, there's a big fraud crackdown. You guys need to know what to do. Look at your EVV data now, not later. If caregivers are making a lot of manual entries, and this kind of goes for every state, not just Ohio, but especially if you're in Ohio. If clock-ins are being corrected frequently, if there are visits without matching records, those are exactly the types of things that the state analytic tools are going to be flagging. So make sure you guys don't do, if your EVV data is bad, if you are having a high manual check-in rate or a high unadjusted visit rate or if you're having a high adjusted visit rate, make sure you guys are checking all of those. Also, documentation, right? If you do get audited, you need to have everything in order. So if it has a signature, keep that form, keep all of that. Missing consent forms, missing fingerprints. Are all of your caregivers up to date on their fingerprints, on their background checks, etc.? I just said background checks, but background checks that aren't on file, that's a really big one. Make sure all your caregivers have their background checks that aren't on file. Those things are being treated as compliance failures right now. So they're going to audit and take all of that back. Not just paperwork oversight. So they will bill that back. They will recoup that. Go back through your records and make sure everything is compliant for every single patient.
Yes.
And that's remember, if you think you're going to get audited, make sure you're doing that.
When an auditor asks for something, you only have about an hour to produce it. So keep that in mind. That you only have about an hour to give the auditor what they ask for. So if I were you, trying to keep paper copies of everything can be a really huge pain in the butt. I would recommend you have like a safe hard drive, like, you know how you can like plug and unplug hard drives in and out, you can get extra storage hard drives. Keep those background checks, keep whatever. If you are relying on a paper system right now, scan them in and keep them on a hard drive that is just ready to go. You just plug into a computer and say, have at it. You know what I mean? So make sure you have all your ducks in a row because you have limited time to produce that information.
All right. Next up, we want you guys to start thinking about GPS in your EVV. If you guys still do not have EVV, they will flag you.
Get it?
So Geo, we have a great EVV system. We have a lovely one, and we have the fastest onboarding process in the industry. I highly recommend clicking the link down below if you don't have EVV in place. We will get you set up. We will get you set up fast, and we will help you make sure you're not flagged. The last thing worth saying, none of this is meant to shut down legitimate home care. CMS has said that, but the compliance bar is definitely higher now. So the compliance bar is higher. Things you might have been getting away with a year ago, you will not get away with today. Letting a fingerprint check lapse, letting a background check lapse, all of those things, not having EVV in place when federally you were supposed to have it in place in 2017, but the state kind of was like, well, we're not checking it. So then no one got it. All of those things will no longer be allowed. So that is where things stand as of May 2026. And those are the 5 state initiatives from Governor DeWine in Ohio and the 87 providers that have already been flagged. We hope this was helpful for you guys. We hope you enjoyed celebrity updates and our Ohio Emergency Fraud Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning. Bye,
guys.